In recent years, Japan has become one of the most visited countries on the planet. In 2025, the numbers are striking. More than 35 million international tourists arrive each year in the land of the rising sun, and government projections point to more than 60 million annual visitors within the next decade. But the key question is, why is there so much tourism in Japan today? And how is this massive wave of visitors transforming the Japanese economy? The answer is not simple, because behind the tourism boom there is a mix of economic, cultural, technological, and even geopolitical factors. What's most interesting is that Japan has turned tourism into a genuine economic engine. In 2025, the sector represents nearly 8% of GDP and generates millions of direct and indirect jobs. If you want to understand this phenomenon in detail, subscribe to Global Finance 360, hit the bell, and join us for this analysis. To understand the present, we must look back. Before the pandemic, in 2019, Japan had already reached almost 32 million visitors. The COVID crisis halted that growth, but since 2022, the country prepared. It launched aggressive promotion campaigns, eased visa rules, invested in connectivity, and benefited from a relatively weak yen that made travel to Japan more affordable for many tourists. All this, together with airline partnerships and coordinated destination marketing, pushed demand sharply higher. What makes Japan so attractive to millions of travelers? A unique mix of tradition and modernity. On one hand, the pull of its ancestral culture, ancient temples, shrines, geisha in Kyoto, the tea ceremony, and cherry blossoms. On the other, cutting-edge culture and technology, futuristic skyscrapers in Tokyo, bullet trains, robots serving in hotels, and the global phenomena of anime, manga, and Japanese cuisine. Japan is literally a place where past and future coexist on the same street. Cuisine deserves a special mention. Recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage, Japanese food attracts visitors not only for sushi or ramen, but for the whole experience. Izakayas tucked into back alleys, bustling local markets, and high-end restaurants. Gastronomic tourism moves billions of dollars and creates value chains that range from fishing and agriculture to fine dining and experiential tourism. Let's talk numbers. Each tourist spends on average around $1,500 during their stay on flights, accommodation, transport, food, tickets, and shopping, and that money circulates throughout the economy. Hotels pay wages, restaurants buy local produce, transport companies invest in fleets, and retailers hire staff. Multiplied by tens of millions of visits, we are talking about billions that improve the trade balance and support hundreds of thousands of businesses, from traditional ryokan inns to tech platforms for bookings. The sectors that benefit most are accommodation, restaurants, transport, and retail. But there are ripple effects. Local agriculture sells regional products. Traditional crafts are revalued as souvenirs. Logistics and packaging see higher demand. And digital platforms for reservations and translation become essential suppliers. In rural areas, tourism has revived entire towns with small ghost houses, food routes, and cultural experiences that attract visitors willing to pay for authenticity. On employment, tourism creates millions of direct and indirect jobs. Front desk staff, hospitality workers, guides, taxi drivers, airport staff, and construction workers. It is an important source of work for young people and part-time workers, but there is a risk to highlight. Many of these jobs are seasonal or low-paid. For the sector to be a stable engine of growth, it must be professionalized. Training, certifications, and career paths that raise job quality and reduce turnover. The risks are clear and must be managed. Overcrowding in places like Kyoto, pressure on public transit in Tokyo, rising prices and loss of affordable housing due to the boom in short-term rentals, environmental damage in natural areas, and the economic vulnerability of regions that depend solely on tourism. What is Japan doing to mitigate these problems? Here are the main measures. Demand dispersal and regional improvement. Promote Hokkaido in autumn, Tohoku in spring, or Kyushu for nature. Upgrade regional trains and airports to distribute visitors more evenly. Regulation of tourist rentals, registration, minimum stay rules, and caps to protect permanent housing. Transparent tourist levies, a small per-night tax to fund heritage maintenance, street cleaning, and local improvements. Professionalization of the sector, guide certifications, language courses, and hospitality training to build sustainable careers. Technology to manage flows. AI analysis to avoid bottlenecks, timed entry tickets, apps suggesting alternative routes, and multilingual virtual guides. Focus on high-value tourism. Exclusive experiences, private craft workshops, and premium rural retreats to generate more revenue per visitor and relieve pressure on fragile sites. Sustainability and local governance. Restrict access to sensitive places, improve waste management, and ensure communities participate and receive visible benefits. In short, Japan's tourism boom in 2025 brings money, jobs and opportunities to revitalize depressed areas, but it requires responsibility. Without smart policies, the benefits evaporate and social and environmental tensions arise. The difference between a lasting boom and a bubble that bursts lies in planning, listening to communities, and investing in initiatives that respect local culture and environment. But the story of tourism in Japan in 2025 is about more than numbers. It is also defined by how this phenomenon transforms everyday life for Japanese people and how the country reinvents itself in the face of a huge influx of visitors. Because not everything is positive, mass tourism, if poorly managed, can bring serious challenges. A clear example is Kyoto, the ancient imperial capital. Its temples, traditional streets, and tea houses are now the setting for an endless flow of visitors. The result? Neighborhoods that were once home to entire families are now dominated by tourist accommodations. Rents rise, traditional shops disappear, and many residents feel their daily life has turned into a display. This tension between cultural attraction and preserving local life is one of Japan's major debates today. The Japanese government, however, is responding with innovative policies. Quotas for access to temples and shrines have been implemented, campaigns redirect tourists to less crowded alternative destinations, and technological initiatives have been launched, mobile apps that show real-time visitor density at key sites. In this way, Japan is pursuing sustainable tourism that protects both its heritage and residents' quality of life. Another fundamental aspect is how tourism drives the country's digital transformation. In 2025, almost the entire tourist circuit is connected to smart platforms. Online bookings, cashless payments, instant AI translation, and automated transport. This not only improves the visitor experience, but also positions Japan as a global laboratory for innovation in digital hospitality. The economic impact is enormous. International tourism not only stimulates hotels and restaurants, but also creates linkages across sectors such as rail transport, fashion, crafts, gourmet food, and even local agriculture. For example, the rise of gastronomic tourism has boosted exports of sake, wagyu, and green tea, while tourists pay premium prices to taste them at source. Perhaps most interestingly, Japan does not rely solely on foreign visitors. Domestic tourism has also surged in 2025 thanks to government incentives aimed at balancing the economic flow. Discount travel programs, support for rural regions, and national promotion campaigns have led millions of Japanese to rediscover their own country, diversifying benefits and helping to avoid overcrowding in Tokyo, Osaka, or Kyoto. Tourism is also linked to Japan's demographic challenge, one of the country's greatest issues. Japan is among the most aged societies in the world, with a sharp population decline. In this context, tourism becomes a strategic tool to offset the loss of internal dynamism. Each foreign visitor not only spends money, but also indirectly helps sustain employment and revive communities that otherwise would continue to decline. A fascinating example is the small islands of Okinawa. Many of them faced rapid depopulation, but the tourism boom has reactivated local economies, creating jobs in transport, lodging, and ecotourism, and even encouraging young people who had migrated to Tokyo to return and start businesses in their hometowns. Japan is also using tourism as cultural diplomacy. Attracting international visitors strengthens its global influence. Every tourist who travels to Japan becomes an informal ambassador of its culture when they return home. This soft power strategy enhances Japan's reputation not only as an economic and technological power, but also as a global cultural reference. In short, tourism in Japan in 2025 is not an isolated phenomenon, but a strategic element of its economy, politics, and society. It is a driver of technological innovation, a tool of cultural diplomacy, and a pillar to confront challenges like depopulation and global competition. The big question now is, can Japan maintain the balance between growth, sustainability, and quality of life? So far, it has shown it can turn challenges into opportunities. Everything suggests that in the coming years Japan will continue consolidating itself as one of the world's most influential and profitable destinations. If you enjoyed this analysis and want more content like this, subscribe to Global Finance 360, hit the bell, and share this video with someone who loves travel or works in tourism. Tell us in the comments which aspect you'd like us to explore in more depth next. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.